Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anip Kokni and we discuss here about the Indian stock market indices. So we'll start with Nifty and then we'll proceed with other indices and then also look at the option chain for each one of this and get an understanding in terms of what we can expect the price action behavior for tomorrow. We'll begin with Nifty and we will start with the analysis on the chart from Friday. So we had a lower value relationship, rather it was an overlapping lower value relationship that we got to see on Friday. And then the price took a very good resistance at the CPR and also started taking the resistance from the trend line as it started coming downwards. And then we got to see a lot of lower highs being built all the day, right? So it was more of an downward momentum that we got to see on an intraday chart if you look at the CPRs, right? So let's look at the daily candle and try to understand, how the candles have been shaping up for the last few days. So let me zoom in this. So if you look at this, the last two candles, there's been a big sell-off coming in, right? So we anticipated the first red candle to be an bullish and the bearish engulfing candle that you get to see here. This was more of an investor's profit booking on Thursday, which was the expiry, and then and that was exactly when it coincided with the MPC basis points announcements that happened by the RBI governor. And then we also anticipated that we would see some more sell-off coming in from the investors on the second day, right? So we started with a positive bias, but again, it started taking the resistance at the CPR or the particular levels of 18,650. And then we see a closing, which is a bearish closing at 18,550, right? So now this is going to be a key level. So we have 18,600 and 18,550 as the range. That's a very small range, I would say. Now, if the price starts breaking down 18,550, then we can definitely see an 100 points downwards movement coming towards 18,450. And then probably we should be able to get this moving average also moved ahead by 25 points with the price action happening for the whole day. And this should provide a good support as part of your daily chart, right? At least for Monday on Nifty. Let's move on to the hourly chart and see how the things look like. So hourly chart has definitely gone into a bearish momentum. If you look at it, it has very well closed below the 20 EMA on hourly chart, but you see the 200 EMA being positive. But at the same time, you also see the relative strength index, which is getting the downward momentum, right? So now this is a little tricky for us to understand in terms of uh, the price action behavior, right? So I don't think so. The price will start moving up to a great extent. At the max, it can reach up to 18,600, and from 18,600, I believe it should start coming downwards towards 18,450. Right, so there could be an good 150 points decline we get to see before we start seeing any upwards movement. So that's my point of view on Nifty. Now let's try and open the option chain and try to see what the option chain has the information for us to talk about. So if you look at the option chain on Nifty, so we had almost 14 lakh contracts on the call sides, and then we have 9 lakhs contracts on the put side, right? So there is a good 5 lakh contracts heavier on the call side. And now if you look at the intraday change that's happened, so you see 7 lakh calls and then you get to see 3 lakh puts, right? So there has been again a good 4 lakh difference in terms of the option contracts that has been written on the call side, right? So calls are definitely heavy. Now, if you start looking at the strike level wise, right? So if I start looking at the strike levels, probably 18,600 has a good amount of OI concentration. 18,700 also has a good amount of OI concentration, which is strange. Looking at the price closure at 18,550, we still have a good retention of the contracts here. So people are definitely bullish in terms of the sentiments, and probably we can start seeing in a plus 50 points momentum towards upwards, and these people should be able to close in their positions before they start building in, at the lower levels, the positions at the lower levels. Now, 18,600 again has a good amount of calls. You have 1,61,000 calls, and then 18,700 has almost like 318,000 of calls, right? So this 1700 is definitely going to be a very strong resistance in terms of uh, the upside momentum. 650 again has a decent amount of resistance. You have 18,600 where you have 161,000 calls. So this does not show me any downward strength in terms of support. There are 98,000 contracts at 18,500, and then there are 94,000 contracts at 18,300, right? So 300 and 500 could be the two levels to watch on the downside, and then probably 700 is a level that could be a strong resistance on the upside for the entire week next week. So that's how I get to read the option chain for the next week. So I believe Nifty should definitely trade within short range on on Monday and also in the next weeks, right? Okay, so let's move on to Bank Nifty and try to understand the price action. So Bank Nifty had been a little positive in terms of the movement. It was not as bad as Nifty. Nifty got a very bad selling. And that was one of the reasons, I traded in Nifty as a delta neutral and having a one-sided momentum on a bearish side. I had a good amount of losses, right? So I almost had 1.2% of losses on Friday, trading a delta neutral strategies in Nifty, which was not worth it. Anyways, I mean, losses are part of the business. So now if you look at Bank Nifty had shown in a good amount of strength and it tried to maintain a range of, you know, uh, 43,900 to 44,200, right? So it was very well trading within a 300 point range, and this was exactly the trend lines that we drew, which also acted as a resistance in confluence with the CPR at 44,200, and then we start seeing in some sell-off coming in the last 1 2 hours, right? Otherwise, it was pretty much in a range, and Bank Nifty was not as volatile as Nifty. Yeah. Okay, we'll get on to the intraday time frames, or rather, we'll look at the daily time frame on Bank Nifty at the beginning. So now, if you look at Bank Nifty definitely shows a bearish candle, and it has taken a good amount of support. The reason why Bank Nifty has not fallen too much is that we have 43,900 as a 20 EMA support on a daily chart, which has held it for not falling below that on this Friday. Yeah. Now, if the opening is below this, then probably we can get to see another 100 points, 100, not 100, I think 200 points up to 43,700. But if this holds back and we start seeing upward momentum, we can again retest 44,200 and then we can expect it to go further up to 44,500. Right, so that could be the range for the next week probably. So 44,500 and then 43,700 can be, the range for the next week, which is like a good 700 points range on Bank Nifty that I anticipate in the next week. Now, if you look at the hourly chart definitely would have broken a 20 EMA, and that's exactly what it has done. Now, the next big support is standing at 43,700. So probably this 200 EMA will start moving upwards, and we'll get to see some correction happening in with the price and get the support at this particular level, right? So that's a possibility. I think we can get to see in the next week. Let's look at the pivots for next day. Now, if you look at this, this is definitely showcasing a lot of bearishness in the instrument, right? So if this breaks this particular trend line, which is holding it currently at 43,960, yeah, 950, we can get to see the support levels being tested at 887 and then further down up to this levels, right? So 43,800. Now, upward, there is not too much of momentum because there's a very good resistance at 44,200 that I get to see here, which will hold it as a resistance. Okay, so let's have the look at the option contracts of Bank Nifty and get an understanding how those contracts have been placed. So there are 9 lakh contracts on the call sides, and then there are 6.5 lakh of contracts on the put sides. If you look at the intraday, there is not much of a change. It looks more or less the same with 1.5 lakh contracts more on the call side. Otherwise, if you look at the strike prices, the strike 44,000 definitely has a very good OI concentration on both the put and the call side, right? So this could be an equilibrium level where it stands at currently. Now, if you start looking at the supports, not too much of the OI concentration. You just have some 21,000 contracts at 43,800 and another 20,000 contracts at 43,300. But if you look at The call side definitely has a good amount of contracts. In comparison to the puts, 44,200 has some 57,000 contracts. And then you also have 44,100, which has 49,000 contracts, right? So this ATM plus 2 and minus 2 levels could be a good straddle candidates, if we have to capture in the time decay in Bank Nifty on Monday, right? Otherwise, for the entire week, I see a range of 700 points, right? So from 43.7 to 44.5, which is like 800 points. This could be an range that we can expect the price to close in this particular week, right? I mean, the next week, starting from Monday until Thursday. All right, so we'll move on to FinNifty now. FinNifty again, I would not say that mandatory I'll trade into it, but this would be my first preference because Tuesday is the expiry of FinNifty, and I'll be more, convinced in terms of getting in the theta decay in FinNifty in comparison to what I would be able to make in Nifty and Bank Nifty. Now, FinNifty has definitely been bearish. I think FinNifty was very much trading like Bank Nifty, but the volatility, the spikes were too big, right? If you look at the 3 minute candles here, the 3 minute candles were pretty big in comparison to what we got to see in Nifty and Bank Nifty. So that shows the amount of volatility we have within FinNifty, right? Now, if you look at the relationship that we had formed, it's definitely a lower value relationship with a wider CPR. I think for Monday, probably FinNifty would be trending in pretty well. So we will have to check at the opening print and the opening range for the first 30 minutes, and then Finifty should give us a good indication in terms of what is the direction it want to trade for Monday, right? And then we can start looking at the range on the daily candles and then the intraday time frames. So now if you look at the daily candles, definitely again there is a lot of negative bias, but interestingly it has closed above the 20 EMA on a daily chart, right? So that's a good support level. Now, if this breaks, then probably we can get to see Nifty at 19,400 and then worst case scenario at 19,300 by Tuesday. Otherwise, I think it should not fall below 19,200 and on the upside, I think this level of 19,500 has been acting as a good resistance for quite some time now. So this will probably hold in, otherwise 19,700. So 19,500 and 19,300 can be a range, a 300 point range for the next 2 days in FinNifty is what I see from the price action here. Now let us look on to an hourly chart. Yeah, hourly chart definitely shows an higher high and higher low that's been formed. Uh, we will have to see how this channel will play around on Monday and then get a fair understanding in terms of, how how FinNifty will start behaving. So the particular level of 19,400 where we have closed is very important level. So anything below that will pull it down 100 points. Upside, I see a lot of resistance coming in, right? So both on the shorter time frames and on the higher time frames. But still, if it has to, you know, go with a good momentum or good buying pressure, then probably we can see 19,500 on the upside. So FinNifty definitely has a very smaller range in comparison to a Bank Nifty that we can expect, for Monday. All right, so let's look at the option contracts. The RSI momentum is also declining. If you look at it, it's come down to 49. So I think if it keeps going until 30, then probably we can see 19,300 on the downside. But if it gets a reversal from here, then probably we can see 19,500. That's what can happen upon FinNifty. Let's look at the options contracts on FinNifty and get an understanding on FinNifty also. So FinNifty, as we saw, it has closed at 19,400 levels, which is again a good support level with 53,000 contracts on the OI. And intraday contracts, there are a good number of intraday contracts as well. That's 35,000. But always FinNifty keeps scaring me with 200 points outside, where you see a good OI concentration of 37,000, right? So this is the highest OI concentration I get to see on FinNifty at 19,200 in terms of puts. And on the calls, again, you have 19,500, which has the highest OI, which is 58,000. Now, apart from that, you get to see another Next, second highest OI at 19,650, which is 43,300 contracts, right? So if you look at the total number of calls and puts, I think there are approximately 1,60,000 contracts more on the call side, 1,70,000 contracts more on the call side. So definitely moderately bearish momentum can be observed looking at this number of contracts. The intraday change is not too big, right? So 298,000 and 223,000 is 70, 80,000 contracts more on the call side. So that again indicates a bearishness in terms of the price momentum that happened on Monday. Now, depending on the opening print and the opening range in the first 30 minutes, I will take a call if Nifty is appropriate to be traded on Monday. Otherwise, I would probably be comfortable playing in Nifty or Bank Nifty with the far off strikes and try to get whatever I could, right? So maybe 0.2 or 0.3% is also something that I would be happy with. But otherwise, at this point of time, I think if Nifty has to be traded and you get to understand the range can be very small as we are anticipating and assuming now as 19,300 and 19,500. I think selling in straddles in between this level at the ATM plus one and minus one can be a good bet. So that would give a good amount of theta decay for tomorrow at least, right? So that's my quick point of view on Nifty, Bank Nifty, and Fin Nifty for Monday. So Fin Nifty again, the range could be small. Just providing a quick conclusion in terms of what we can expect. Fin Nifty range can be very small between 19,300 to 19,500. And again, this has a caveat in terms of the opening print. Bank Nifty shows a good range of 700-800 points for the next week. So 44,000 is a critical level on Bank Nifty. If this gets broken down, then we can see an upside momentum of, uh, the downside momentum up to 43,700. But if there is a breakout on the upside by breaking out the resistance, then we can get to see up to 44,500, right? So that's what I see in Bank Nifty. Now, Nifty, interestingly, 550 and 600 are very key levels. If 550 is broken, then definitely we can start seeing in the downward momentum in Nifty, which can go up to 18,300 by Thursday. But if 18,500 and 550 are held, then we can see an upward momentum happening up to 18,700 in the next week. Right, so that's my point of view, and I would be, preferring to trade in Finifty, provided Finifty is more non-volatile and within a range as I'm expecting it to be. Otherwise, I'll be trading in either Nifty or Bank Nifty on Monday tomorrow. Right, so that's my plan of action. I hope you guys like this analysis. Thank you for watching through this video. I appreciate your patience to watch through this video and understand my point of view. I wish you guys the good luck and happy trading. Uh, good night and cheers. Bye bye.